You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, home of Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks, weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Key and YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey folks, this is Mark White with The Mark White Show, and you can tune into The Mark White Show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here on Rock 99, WQEE The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk.
Are you looking for a reliable dental practice that not only cares about your teeth, but is friendly to work with? How about one that offers great deals and new patient promotions? Well, your search is over. Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton, Georgia is committed to giving you the biggest and brightest smile. Right now, get a $99 new patient special, including x-rays and exam. Maybe you're looking for veneers. Most Valuable Smiles veneer special includes one free veneer with every 5 purchased. Or get that bright white smile you've always wanted by taking advantage of an exclusive $100 off Zoom whitening treatment when you book today. And don't forget that 2022 is almost over. That means most insurance policies will reset by the new year, and to avoid losing that extra money, you need to use it or lose it. Book an appointment today with Most Valuable Smiles in downtown Eatonton to lock in these exclusive deals. Call 706-623-0318 or visit mostvaluablesmiles.com.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
Hey sports fans, The Key has a brand new show. Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League, and the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE The Key, 99.1 FM, and simulcasting on youtube.com/at Braves Country.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night,
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball.
Winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show. Every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern, you'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's the Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Fridays, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Hey, sports fans. Weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive Time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterback. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE 99.1 FM. You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterback's Sports Flash. Happy National Oreo Cookie Day and White Chocolate Cheesecake Day. That may be a perfect way for Calvin Ridley to celebrate, as the ex-Falcon wide receiver and current Jacksonville Jaguar has been fully reinstated to the National Football League. Ridley, who had been suspended indefinitely since March of 2022 for violating the NFL's gambling policy, is eligible to participate in all team activities effective immediately. And it looks like former Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Derek Carr is signing with the New Orleans Saints. Carr appeared to be confirming the news, tweeting Monday, "Who dat?" The Saints, who finished 7-10 last season, were among 3 teams, including the Jets and Panthers, who have pursued Carr for several weeks. Carr is 31 years old, visited New Orleans, and met with several team members of the organization over 2 days in early February. And the new men's college basketball poll is out. Houston is #1, and the UCLA Bruins have jumped to #2. Kansas is 3rd, Alabama 4th, and Purdue rounds out the top 5. Virginia is 13th, Miami 14th, Tennessee #17, and A&M at #18. The Duke Blue Devils, after beating North Carolina over the weekend, have vaulted to #21, and the Kentucky Wildcats are 23rd, with the Missouri Tigers slipping into the top 25 for the first time in quite some time. The Atlanta Braves have their first day off all spring on a Monday afternoon, but there's still plenty of action around Major League Baseball. The early games starting at 1:05 Eastern. Tigers are at the Red Sox in Fort Myers. Astros at the Cardinals. down in Sarasota, and St. Petersburg will host Marlins at Rays. One more early game in Sarasota, Florida. The Baltimore Orioles welcome in the Philadelphia Phillies. The mid-afternoon tilts out west. Cubs travel to the Seattle Mariners facility in Peoria, Arizona. Diamondbacks at the Royals in Surprise, Arizona. In Phoenix, we'll see the Dodgers host the Padres, while the Guardians travel to the Angels in Tempe. Rockies are at home in Scottsdale, and they'll battle the Rangers. Got a couple of games for Monday Night Baseball. Pirates are at the Yankees in Tampa. That game starts at 6:35 Eastern, and the Rockies are at the Reds, 8:05 Eastern in Goodyear, Arizona. The association tonight has a few games of interest. Starting at 7:30 Eastern, Hawks at the Heat on NBA TV. While the second part of that doubleheader is Pelicans at the Kings at 10. Other games of interest, Celtics are at the Cavs on a back-to-back for Boston, 7 Eastern. And the Raptors are at the Nuggets at 9. Conference tournament week, continuing from last, has a heavy slate today. Games of note all around college basketball. In the Southland tournament, second round, McNeese is at Nichols. That game is 6 Eastern on the plus. At the same time, over on CBS Sports Network, UNC Wilmington at Hofstra, the CAA championship semifinal. At 7 Eastern, Chattanooga is at Furman on the plus. Northern Kentucky is also at Youngstown State. St. Thomas, Minnesota at Oral Roberts. While on ESPN in the West Coast Conference semifinal, BYU at top 20 St. Mary's. ESPN2 Horizon League semifinal, Cleveland State at Milwaukee, and the late tilts, 10 Eastern on the plus, Sacramento State at Weber State in the Big Sky Championship quarterfinal, while San Francisco, who's on a little bit of a run in the West Coast tournament, they'll battle top 10 Gonzaga at 11:30 on the Deuce. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on YouTube.com at Braves Country.
Armchair.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
Why did you get so drunk?
You got drunk. I'm just really exhausted.
What's in that cup?
Rum and Cokes?
Do you have any idea how important this is? We're trying to save the pub. Really? This is what you're doing?
Chief, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Armchair.
YouTube Live.
Radio station. The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station?
I like everything. It's always on my radio. We never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
You're listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We're here live weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern, WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, and simulcasting on YouTube.com / Braves Country. Your first choice for Southern sports. Good afternoon. I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. I'm willing to bet Calvin Ridley he don't bet again. He's back in the league, baby. Let's go.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man with a cool one in his head. Yeah, the armchair.
Yeah, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? I am doing fantastic as we're getting ready for a hell of a week, not just here, but around the globe in the world of sports. You've got March Madness. You've got the World Baseball Classic. You've got spring training. You got Calvin Ridley back in the National Football League. If you missed that, he was just reinstated by the National Football League about an hour or so ago. And they are ready to rock and roll in Jacksonville, adding a player of that caliber after making that run that they made in the playoffs last year. There's nothing but excitement in Duval. And then I saw the thing with Will Levis. As either this morning or last night, regardless, found it very interesting that the Atlanta Falcons were the first team to interview him and evidently had quite the interview with him. Remember, the Falcons are sitting at number 8. If he's sitting there at number 8, there's a chance Atlanta could go towards the quarterback. Now, a lot of people don't think they will. After drafting Desmond Ridder, they may wait a year. But hey, if you get a chance to get a big, strong kid like that and you believe in him, this is a quarterback league, and why not? So you got that going on. World Baseball Classic starts in a few days. A lot of the players are already leaving the facility. I saw that Acuna and Eddie Rosario have already left to join the World Baseball Classic. And those games get going in the next few days. I don't believe the first U.S. game that counts. Now, they may play an exhibition or so, but the first U.S. game that counts in the World Baseball Classic is Saturday night, 9 p.m., and I believe that's Fox. And then they have some really bad times. I was looking at it, and I could not believe how bad the times were on the World Baseball Classic. You're talking about, sorry, I didn't realize I still had that up on our screen. There's the scoreboard. Try to share that scoreboard when we jump on in the afternoons. The World Baseball Classic, most of the games that are being played by the United States are like 10 p.m. on, I believe FS1 has most of them. Like, who's in charge of this? I get that they're playing out in Arizona in the first round pool, but 10 p.m. Eastern? It's the United States. Put them on prime time, morons. Put them at 8 p.m. What the heck are we doing? 9 at the very, very latest. And remember something about the World Baseball Classic. They're not going to have all these rules that have been implemented into Major League Baseball. So you're not going to have a pitch clock. You're not going to have the shift band, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The games are going to take longer. So you start those games at 10 p.m. Eastern, you'll be lucky to get to bed at 1:30. And I was thinking about doing some games right here on Braves Country HD. When I saw the starting times, I was like, there's just no way. I can't do a game at 10 and then I have to be at my morning job. I have to be up and at 'em by about 6:30. There's just no way. So that is out the door. If one falls in my lap and I have a chance to do it, I will do one because I'm excited about it. Going to talk to Teamus about it. Teamus, by the way, does not like it, and I know why. He says he's going to say why he doesn't like it. We haven't got into it yet, but we're kind of texting back and forth. And I do understand the people that don't like it, but I, for one, am a little excited about it, especially after the U.S. just winning it last time. And then, of course, the National Football League, all kinds of moves are flying off the board. If you missed it, just a little while ago, Derek Carr signed a 4-year, $150 million deal. He's headed to Nolens. He's going to be an Orleans Saint. Bud Dupree was cut by the Tennessee Titans, saving $9.5 million off the cap. Tony Pollard moved some of his money to where it's basically all became a signing bonus. Going to read some of this stuff off to you real quick as it was coming in hot and heavy as I was getting ready for the show. In case you missed it, Major League Baseball, Mike Moustakas signed a minor league deal with the Rockies. Now, that could be interesting. If he get back to his old form, Mike Moustakas, someone that can put a charge into the ball. Brad Hand signed a 1-year, $2 million contract with the Rockies as well. Trevor Rosenthal over the weekend signed with the Detroit Tigers. It's a minor league contract. Will Smith, remember our old buddy Will Smith, the pitcher? He signed a 1-year deal with the Rangers. I swear the Rangers are just taking all of our retread. I don't want to say our garbage, but all of our recyclables, and they are trying to build a baseball team over there in Texas. Rich Rod, remember Rich Rod? He signed with the Marlins. Speaking of a guy that did not make it in Atlanta. And talked about the Derek Carr, the Tony Pollard. I'm sorry, Tony Pollard was offered the franchise tag. I had that backwards in my head. Bud Dupree was released, and it was Taysom Hill that converted his money into a signing bonus, essentially. I think 7 of the 8 million is going to the signing bonus. And there was someone else that did that for New Orleans. Who was it? Demario Davis, inside linebacker, converted 7 million of his salary into a signing bonus, clearing 5.6. So all these things were being done, and you could read the tea leaves that Mr. Carr was on his way. Okay, we're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, the Sarge is with us. We're going to talk some Major League Baseball, by God. His Boston Red Sox are actually playing right now, and they're beating the Tigers 7-1. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country and Braves Country HD, wherever you stream. We've got Braves baseball tomorrow night right here on Braves Country. Tuesday, March 7th, 6:05 Eastern, first pitch. Braves Country is bringing you Atlanta Braves, Boston Red Sox, pitch by pitch, inning by inning, from Northport, Florida at Cool Today Park. Red Sox versus Braves broadcast will begin 6 Eastern, first pitch delivered by 6:05. Catch all the action right here. Make sure to like and subscribe. Braves Country HD, youtube.com/@Braves Country for Atlanta Braves baseball all year long.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Enjoy sun-drenched days, epic stays, and plenty of room to roam in Greater Fort Lauderdale. Our hotels, attractions, and restaurants have taken the Visit Lauderdale's Safe and Clean pledge, so you can relax and explore with confidence. When you're ready for that well-deserved staycation, our 23 miles of golden beaches await. Find wide-open spaces to hike, bike, kayak, and paddleboard. Visit your favorite attractions, then dine out in style in dining rooms or al fresco on waterfront patios. Learn more at sunny.org.
We live in a world now that welcomes and nurtures the screwball in all of us. Hey, it's a new decade, people. Time to get a little nutty. Treat yourself to Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a smooth flavor that combines two of America's favorites, peanut butter and American whiskey. So no more social awkwardness. Time to embrace who you truly are. Get out there and make friends. And be sure it starts with Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. It's available nearly everywhere. Learn more at screwballwhiskey.com. Infinium Spirits. Please enjoy responsibly.
I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, you know, that or his dudeness or duder or, you know, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Oh, baby, let's go! Monday with the Sarge. Guess who's back? Back again. How are you doing, Mr. Timus Williams? Your mic is muted, sir.
Good, brother. Little foggy after Egypt, but I think I can carry on a genuine, relatively intelligent conversation here.
If not, we'll find out.
Yep, we'll find out.
I don't think it'd be the first time that you and I have had a conversation where one of us might be inebriated. So,
yeah, I'd say the chances are better than somewhat. Yeah.
The SARS just came from the doctor is what he's referring to. So he's a little loopy, but just a free buzz, man. That's all it is.
Yeah, it is.
The Red Sox, I noticed they're up 7-1. I know it's spring training. It's just the Tigers. It still feels good when you see your team winning. It just does.
Yeah, it's just good to see baseball back. And, I watched a game yesterday. It was the first one I've been able to watch in its entirety. And, half the players toward the end, you don't have a clue who they are, but who cares, man? The whole thing sounds, the crowd's there, I'm glad it's back. It's exciting.
Yeah, I actually enjoy spring training, but maybe that's because I get a little more into the weeds with my team. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try and tell you that I watch a bunch of other spring training games. If there's a guy that I really want to see that I haven't seen before, then maybe. Like, for instance, I've got a guy on my dynasty baseball team, Jack Leiter. If I know Jack Leiter was going to pitch, I would like to see him pitch, but I don't think I'm going to hang around and watch an entire Texas Rangers game waiting for that opportunity. I saw that he got in the other day and pitched well, but usually what I do is I find out, oh, so-and-so pitched, so-and-so at bat, a young kid, even if it's not fantasy related, if you're just a fan of a player or curiosity, and I'll go and watch the at-bats because there's so many guys that we grew up watching that now their kids are in the major leagues. And I'm always interested. Those are the guys that I'm always interested in. Al Leiter's son, Jack Leiter, Matt Holliday's kid, supposed to be one of the best up and coming infielders, most likely shortstops in all of Major League Baseball, Jackson Holliday. Man, the Orioles are loaded with young kids.
Yeah. They're going to be, they're working their way back. They were cellar dwellers for a long time, but
absolutely,
you can't say that anymore. Not about Baltimore. You can't.
No, they are. Look, I've already taken them on a bet out in Vegas. I found the over-under win total for them 77.5. And I felt like that was incredibly low. And I think they clear it. I think this was a team that had they gone for it last year, they may have made the playoffs as a wild card. They were right there teetering, and they ended up being sellers. I just don't think they're going to do that 2 years in a row. I think if they're sitting there, they're not going to go bananas and trade away their farm system to bring in Shohei Ohtani so that they can be a wild card contender for 3 months. But I could see them going in and adding pieces and bullpen pieces, that kind of thing, and having a decent shot at it.
Oh yeah, they proved last year. I mean, nobody really play them, and those young kids didn't seem overly intimidated by who they were facing and everything. They were getting hits, they were scoring runs. They walked all over Boston. I mean, we were looking up at Baltimore last year. That's fun.
Yeah. Right now, the Bakota standings has Boston above Baltimore. I wouldn't take that bet.
Me neither. Not right now. Boston's got way, way, way too much to prove. There's too many ifs right now. I would have to take Baltimore, unfortunately.
I do think Boston's one of the more intriguing teams because when I look at their roster, it reminds me a little of a few years ago when no one thought Boston had a chance, and they got all the way into what the ALCS versus
Houston.
And it has that same feel because look, if you look at that roster, if things break the right way, that could be a competitive team. I'm not saying World Series, but then again, if you get to the point of the trading deadline, they could be they could be a team that's buying. When I see guys like Adam Duvall and I see the guys they already have, like the Kike Hernandez and the kid that they brought in from Japan,
Mm-hmm.
and for the Red Sox fans' sake, hopefully the reemergence of Chris Sale, who when he was in his prime was the deadliest lefty in baseball.
Yeah, he was mowing them down. What he did in 2018 was phenomenal, and of course he had. I mean, that was a completely different team too. That I can't talk about 2018 yet because of Mookie. So I'm still not in a place spiritually I can speak about that wonderful, wonderful team of ours back then. But yeah, if Chris, he's kind of the catalyst as far. I think a lot of that's going to fall on his shoulders this year. You know, if Sale's in there and he's competing and competing well, it's a motivator for the rest of the team. But it's not all on his. Obviously, you know, there's 9 positions, and we got to score some runs. I would kind of like to see a team sort of like the 03-04 team. You know, there's veterans on there, there's different new guys, and you got to. I think we need another big bopper, at least one. You know, it would be nice to have a contact hit team that was successful because you don't see that much in the American League. You know,
right? You know this. So you brought to my attention the injury to the lefty veteran that the Red Sox were kind of counting on, John Paxson. What is the story? Or I always say John. It's James Paxton.
Yeah.
What is the story on Paxton?
Well, he had Tommy John last year, so we knew he wasn't going to be in last year. But we all eyes on him coming up. We were like, okay, if Sale's healthy, you get Paxton, and then throw in a couple of newer guys and things like that. We lost Evaldi. But today, his first game in almost 2 years, he goes out, pitches less than 2 innings, and pulls a hamstring. And it's so severe, they're saying he won't even be on the opening day roster again this year. You had
opening day roster.
Stretch.
Was it a hamstring tear or was it a pull?
It was a hamstring pull, which usually take an extremely long time to heal.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing that it does is, especially considering the injury that he's coming off of, hamstring, Tommy John, you want to make sure his legs are 100%, because if they're not, and he's cheating towards any side because his legs aren't there, or even if he doesn't have the confidence that his legs are there, right? Then he could pull something in his arm or his shoulder again. So I understand why they're taking their time. Plus, he's not a guy that you're necessarily leaning on for top of the rotation. You're hoping he can. I mean, let's be honest. The guy coming off of Tommy John, and now he's going to miss opening day. You hope in a perfect world he can get you somewhere between 15 to 20 starts. And if he can do that at a decent clip, we're saying, a respectable 4 ERA in today's game.
Mm-hmm.
That would exceed expectations in my book.
I think that's kind of what we were hoping for. I mean, we knew he wasn't going to come out and be, Doc Gooden or something. We were hoping, though, a good number 3 or 4 guy, or at least play. But I don't know, man. Guy is snake bit when it comes to injuries.
Yeah, he's been. Until you sent it to me, I had totally forgotten about the Red Sox signing him, because he's been. I mean, if you would have asked me late on a Friday night what happened to James Paxton, I'd be like, didn't he retire? Like I just haven't seen him. But it's kind of similar to what's going on with Soroka for the Braves, because Soroka had a hamstring. I believe his was just tightness, and it pushed back his original throwing program going into spring training. Now he's back to it. They're hoping that he can still make obviously he's not our opening day starter, but like the opening week-ish rotation, but he's got to get things going because you got to build it up. And if not, I've been thinking all along anyways that he's going to start off the year in the minors. I mean, this kid hasn't played realistically since 2019. 2020, he tore his Achilles in like the second or third start in that shortened season. Then he tried to come back, I guess, too early in 21, and they crapped that out. They said, okay, we're going to have another surgery. Let's go and bring you back. And then basically feels like, it was like Groundhog Day. Here we go again. They just shut him down again. So he hasn't gotten on the field, and he talked about right before he hurt his hamstring how great it is to be healthy for the first time in 2019. And I'm telling you, teams, it was like 72 hours after I read that. Soroka's being shut down for a little bit because he hurt his hammy. I'm like, of course he did, because you jinxed it, buddy. That's how that goes down.
I just have they're professional ball players, and they have doctor staffs, physical therapists, massage therapists, all these people on hand. How are they still pulling muscles in the second week of spring training?
The hamstring is the weird one for me, because I'm with you. You would think that you would, especially when you've gone through an injury like that. If it was some guy who's never hurt and so he probably thinks he's made of steel, like trying to think of like a Max Scherzer
or Bogart, right? Yeah, that doesn't really get injured. Yeah,
right. I'm talking about from a pitcher standpoint. If it's an older pitcher who's never really been hurt that much and he hurt his hamstring, I'd be like, that dude didn't stretch.
Yeah.
But Paxton, especially because he's a veteran coming off of Tommy John, that's a head scratcher. Soroka, his supposedly was tightness, and I'm telling you what that was. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, what that was you feel something? No. Let's shut her down. We're not pushing you. It's February, my guy. We're not doing this again. There were all kinds of red flags going up. We have done this. We have done this 3 years in a row. We're not doing this again. So until you're ready. And so now really what it comes down to at this point, it's on the athlete, right? To make sure that they stretch, stay in shape, et cetera, so that they can go to the post. Because I say this a lot, and I know it's something I don't even remember where I stole it from originally, because it's been regurgitated so many times in the world of sports. But the best ability is availability in the world of sports. And a guy like Paxton, I mean, what is he? He's got to be mid-30s, right?
Oh, yeah. He was with Seattle for ever.
Yeah, he was. I mean, that guy was a stud in Seattle.
Yes.
Early part of last decade.
Yeah. He's been around. There's no doubt. He's got to be in his 30s, mid-30s.
He never really lived up to expectations in New York when he went to the Yankees.
And he was kind of banged up there too, wasn't he?
That, and even when he did, because the thing about Paxton is he's never been a guy that blows you away. And of course, he's not going to, as you get older, unless you're doing some Barry Bonds type things, you're not going to get better, right?
Right.
So he's a guy that's going to pitch you, right? And he just never really I'm not going to say he was terrible in the Bronx, but he wasn't what they thought he was going to be. I mean, he wasn't like on the same level as the kid's name slipping in my mind right now, but the one that the Nationals signed to a long-term deal, thinking that he was the end all that beats all. And though they won a World Series with him on the roster, he's been an absolute disaster. The left-handed kid is, I'll think of his name in a second, but it wasn't quite that bad of a contract, but it was a pretty bad contract for the Yankees to swallow at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of those guys, they come over from the West Coast into the AL East, and it's not the same as what they're used to. They
Yeah, well, pitching in Seattle, which at the time was a pitcher's park. Now they've moved the fences in now, but at the time, Seattle was a true pitcher's park.
Yeah.
You go from there to the Bronx with that short porch. And oh, by the way, I know it's changed this year, but at the time, you were playing about 10 road games in Fenway, right? As a lefty facing a right-handed lineup that's just going to pepper your junk pitches off the green monster. And then, of course, the ball flies out of Toronto. It's not exactly the Grand Canyon in Baltimore. And the only reason why Tampa Bay is normally a lower scoring park is because there's so few people in the stadium that there's like a black hole that gets created and it sucks the air and the life out of the Tropicana Park.
And it's a big old sinkhole.
It's science.
Yeah.
That is I've only been to a handful of parks, major league parks. That's by far the worst. I thought the worst I was ever going to go to was the old one in Cincinnati. Not the new one. I really want to go to the Great American Small Park, but the old one, what was that? Riverfront
Stadium, yeah.
That was a disaster. That was not built for baseball. That was terrible. But and some of it might have to do with the fact that I had a really bad fever when I was in that stadium in Tampa. But I was watching what should have been a great pitching matchup that day, Chris Archer versus Corey Kluber. And it was a pitching matchup. It was a great pitching matchup, but it was a stinker of a crowd. And it was really early in the season. It was right after we got married, and me and my wife got married 2016. And it was right after that. It was like a few days after that. It was a part of our honeymoon. We were in Tampa, and she was like, you want to go catch a game tomorrow? I was like, yeah. And little did I know I was getting, I don't know, back then, I guess, COVID-15, whatever the heck I had. But I don't think I've ever told you this story. Wife's mad at me, elbowing me, all this stuff because I'm falling asleep. I wasn't falling asleep because I was, had too much to drink or whatever. It was literally because this fever was just crushing me. And she didn't really take it serious until after we left the stadium. And she was like, I can't believe you kept falling asleep. I was like, I was clammy, dude. So we finally took my temp and it was over 100. I'm like, do I get at least a little bit of love now? I mean, what the hell is that? So I love to bring that up every once in a while.
Hey, did you hear that the game the Sox are playing right now, Justin Turner got hit in the face by a pitch?
No.
Yep. They said he's in stable condition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it just happened a bit ago.
Was it a comebacker or?
No, he was hit by pitch in the face.
Justin Turner, wow.
Yeah.
Do you know who the pitcher was?
No, I just saw a blip a few minutes ago before I hopped on.
Huh. No, I'll see if I've got the game on in the background. I'll see if they pop something up. That's scary. Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, hopefully that's not good.
Speaking of COVID, Justin Turner. Remember when they let him play in the last game of the World Series when he had COVID in the bubble ship? And then they didn't, it wasn't until like the 8th inning they pulled him out or whatever. I can't believe you had COVID. Of course he had COVID. Look at that beard. That was probably ground zero. That beard came straight from the Wuhan lab. No, that's scary. I'll have to try to check on that at the break. But back to what I was talking about, guys like Ramel Tapia, Adam Duvall, even, honestly, I know he's not a guy that gets a lot of pub, but I'm a big fan, always have been, of Jorge Alfaro behind the plate. That's a really good catcher. He's not even supposed to be the starter, is he? I don't believe he is. Oh, and Mondesi.
Yeah.
Adalberto Mondesi, phenomenal young shortstop. He just has not been able to stay healthy his entire career. But believe you me, if that kid is healthy and he's playing, top 5 shortstop in baseball. The problem is he has constantly leg issues. And his bread and butter is his legs. But it is constantly a back, a knee, an ankle. I had him on a dynasty fantasy team for like 3 years. And I'm telling you, the majority of the time he was just taking up a roster spot on my IL. It was absurd. But when he would get in, you would see the glimpses, and you would just be hard-headed and go, no, man, this guy's about to turn the corner. This guy's about to turn the corner. And then you get the alert on your phone, Mondesi out 3 to 6 weeks because, he stubbed his toe. And you're like, dude. I don't remember when it was. It was sometime last year. I was like, that's it. I've had enough. And then he leaves Kansas City to go to Boston. Like, man, all this whole time that he was in Kansas City, if he would have been in Boston, I might have even kept him. Because not that Boston's some juggernaut now offensively, but that stadium, Mondesi can play in that stadium. Let's take a real quick break. We're going to take a check on that Justin Turner injury. That's some scary stuff. And when we come back, we're going to talk the World Baseball Classic. A couple other things. We got an update on Mike Clevenger and the Mets. One of their big free agents, he's hurt. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country and Braves Country HD, wherever you stream.
Look at me, 92.
Come on, at the roll at your age, whoopee must be down to a handshake, huh?
Yep, before and after.
Hey, sports fans, Braves Country is coming your way weekdays 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Drive time on WQEE. Braves Country is a Southern sports talk show with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. We'll be talking the Atlanta Braves and Major League Baseball, along with everything important to sports fans in Braves Country. The SEC, ACC, Big Ten, and the National Football League. And the big sports news of the day. That's Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks. Weekdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. right here on WQEE, The Key, 99.1 FM. And simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Dixie Handle Company, 5 generations of the Strickland family have produced quality hardwood farm and garden tools, wooden shutters, and custom furniture. This small business has been owned and operated since 1992 and ships to customers across the world. If you're looking for the highest quality tool handles, Dixie Handle Company is your place. Every item is hand-picked to your specifications. If it's made of wood, they do it. Call now, 931-722-3395. That's 931-722-3395. Or go online to DixieHandle.com. The Dixie Handle Company. Welcome to Craftsmanship, a proud sponsor of Braves Country Baseball.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neal, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Well, the season's finally here, and the players hit the field, and every man feels like a boy, and every wife could kill. 'Cause he's the armchair quarterback, he's full of beer and he's full of snacks, the all-American man with a
Welcome back. If you're streaming along with us on Braves Country HD, YouTube's the best place to find us with that. I'm going to share a picture that shows Justin Turner's face right after he got hit in the face. I saw the video. Can't really share the video because if you share the video, they'll freak out and strike you down or whatnot. But man, it is a scary, scary sight. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to see that yet, but here's the picture right after after he was rolling around on the ground. He had blood coming out of his left cheek, and it was a right-handed pitcher, and he went up and inside. And I don't know if he just didn't see it in time, but he didn't move nearly fast enough, and he went down just whap, and he was down. So I hope he's okay.
It catch him flush. It looks like it did.
Yes. It was bap. It wasn't like a grazing. It definitely hit him square. Now it might have clipped his helmet, and that might be where the blood's from, because sometimes these guys get hit in the face with a ball and whatnot, but that's not what actually cuts them. It's the helmet, but thankfully the helmet is there to slow the ball down. But if you're looking at this, you can see it right there, and it is not a good sign.
Did you see pitching and how hard he threw?
What I saw of it, it looked like a fastball. It looked so. I didn't see the gun because the video that I saw was kind of it was off of Twitter, right? So it's kind of hard to see. And I would have loved to have shared the video. The problem is you share any of that stuff, and all next thing you know, they're taking you down. It just isn't worth it. But it was up and in. It wasn't one of those. I always think of I don't know if you've ever seen it, but the Travis Darno where he got hit in the back by what was essentially an ephus pitch, and he went down like a shot as a joke. I don't know if you've seen that before, but he did. It was a couple of years ago. Braves catcher. It was I think it was a position player. I know the game was out of hand. It was a position player threw a pitch, and it looked about like an ephus pitch. If it wasn't, it was like a knuckler. It was slow as hell. And it came in and hit Darno, and he just kind of stood there for a second. And then he dropped down, and he was rolling around laughing and everything. This is not what happened to Justin Turner today. Justin Turner got smoked. Hopefully he's okay.
Tomorrow morning, it's like he drank a fifth of liquor or something.
The best case scenario, he's just bruised and he'll be out for a few days. And what you fear is that he broke something, fractured, his cheekbone or something. And then how long does he have to be out? And does he have to wear some kind of protective device? Usually when that happens, they're out for a little while. And then when they come back, they have that.
Giancarlo Stanton caught one in the face at it. And I believe
I didn't think that guy was ever going to be right again, but he proved me wrong. But when I saw it, Stanton, because he was so gun shy after it, I thought he was going to have the yips. I don't know how he fought through that.
It's terrifying. Especially, I don't care how professional you are, 100 mile an hour or something coming at you. You better be awake and able to move.
I'm trying to find. I don't know why of all the things I cannot find his. How long of a deal did Justin Turner sign?
2.
Okay. Do you remember about when that was?
Right after JD went to the Dodgers.
Oh, I found it. Okay. Oh, it was back in December. I thought it was. I don't know why, but I thought it was mid-January. Okay. 2021. Okay. There it is. So actually fairly early on. So you don't like the WBC?
I do not.
Lay it all out for me. Why do you hate it? I mean, I can tell you why I hate it right now is because I just saw the start times for the U.S. at 10 p.m. Eastern, and
Right.
that's a bunch of junk.
That's one. Two, these pitchers, and especially pitchers, but all these, people say, well, they only play 6 months a year, but you don't know what they have to do the other 6 months. And there are routines. They are creatures of routines. These pitchers go out there and they're trying to be in midseason form when they're actually starting earlier than they ever do. They wind up getting injured and costing their major league team, the ones that are paying them to be there. And it to me, it's always forced to me because, like, you got, like, for instance, Kevin Youkilis is going to be Israel's batting coach. He's commentating for the Sox this year. And yesterday was his last game in the booth because he's got to go up to Jupiter and start preparing his team for the World Baseball Classic. It just throws everything out of whack. There's injuries. People are getting ready too quickly. And it's not that exciting to me. It's more of a baseball, which can be exciting. I'm not knocking that, but I just wish they would leave it alone, honestly. I mean, they do it once every 4 years, and I wish they would just let it go. I'm
in the other camp. I enjoy it because it comes about this time where the mundaneness of spring training baseball. Now, it hasn't been as dull for Braves fans this year for a lot of reasons, but one of them is we haven't been on TV at all. I mean, at all. Usually we get bailed out by the teams we play or putting the game on. And other than playing Boston, we haven't been on TV. Now, we were on MLB.com on Sunday against the Yankees, and I got a chance to watch a little bit of it, but most of it has not been broadcasted. In years past, the WBC has actually been later in March, about a week or so later. But this year, I think they realize that they want to get it over with so that guys can get back and get either, first of all, get back to their trainers in case they're banged up, but then also get back in sync with their team. I'm just a big fan of watch. And one of the things that I like about it the most is when you see the other countries, how much they get into it. This is the closest thing as a baseball fan that we have to the World Cup. And it's fun, and they're doing it for their country, and they're have a lot of fun with it. I guess the only thing that I hate about it is that guys like Ronald Acuna Jr. aren't playing for the United States, right? And man, the WBC is loaded with Mets players this year, so that's going to be a little awkward pulling for Mets players. But it's at that point you kind of lift that off and say, hey, these guys are playing for America for the next, hopefully in a perfect scenario, about 3 weeks. If they get balanced, then it doesn't matter. But
you don't think it throws the team gelling and all that stuff out of whack because you're there, you're not, you're gone for almost a month, and then you come back in, and then you got to start, and the rules aren't the same for the WBC as they are in the majors, and I don't know,
well, they had been the same rules until this year when all the goofy rule changes came into play, right? So that's why you're dealing with that. I see the question from Lane. He's got a few questions he's hitting us with. First of all, how do you feel about the Mets? With the New York Mets, I don't think they got better. I think at best they stayed where they were. They didn't add anything to their offense, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that the deal fell through with Carlos Correa. But I think that offense is still going to struggle to score. They're going to have good starting pitching as long as they're healthy. But when Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer are your guys and they combine for an age of 80, what is that going to look like late in the summer? So that's my biggest concern if I'm a Mets fan. The Kodai Senga coming over, okay, we all know that he's supposed to be really good, but you don't know how that's going to translate when he comes over to MLB. And Carlos Carrasco has already been a little up and down this spring, and then Quintana's already injured. Jose Quintana had side injury. They're supposed to be getting an MRI looked at him today, and there's supposed to be more on it by tomorrow. He's supposed to be their fifth starter, but he's also supposed to be a guy that's going to go to the post and eat innings, and that's going to be a problem if he can't play. It's going to be a huge problem. And then the other question is, how do we feel about the Yankees? I mean, Sarge, right now, are they, in your mind, the runaway favorite in the AL East, or is there another team that you're like, they're going to have to deal with them? You know, in other words, can Toronto be that team?
Yeah, I think so. I think they can. I think they're going to run away with it? No. Do I think they are probably going to win the division? Yeah, I do. I think the additions they made on their pitching staff, it really depends, though, because, the Yankees, their whole motto is, we don't care if you strike out 500 times, give us 30 home runs. So, it's a little difficult to score as many runs consistently as other teams that don't have that motto.
I'll tell you a funny tweet that I saw Sunday, Braves, Yankees, and Carlos Rodon pitched for the Yankees, and he got thumped by Atlanta's bats early in the game. Now, the Yankees came back and won, but that was after all the backups were in. He got thumped. And there was a funny tweet that came out from Mark Bowman that said 165 million doesn't go as far as it used to.
Yeah.
Look, I know it's spring training. A lot of these guys, man, they're just working on stuff. So sometimes they don't even care if they give up runs. They're just glad to have live batters in front of them. And I talked about this last week, but there are times when pitchers go out and say, all I'm throwing is the fastball today. And if the guys pick up on that, they tee off. There are other times they say, I'm not throwing my fastball today. I want to work on my junk, right? So I always take that with a grain of salt. But Matt Olson has been red hot this spring so far. He's hitting like 880 something with 3 bombs.
Bronson Arroyo, or one of the Red Sox, has a 752 batting average right now. I can't remember which one it is, but they announced it yesterday because Kluber pitched yesterday, and he even said afterwards, he's like, it wasn't the outing that I wanted, but I went out there intentionally to work on certain pitches. I didn't treat it as, quote, end quote, a game time situation. He's like, I was trying to see where my location would be on certain pitches, so I just stayed with them.
So he said Bronson Arroyo, that would be a story because.
Oh, I'm sorry. I say that every time, but Christian Arroyo.
Right.
Yeah. I say Bronson.
Bronson Arroyo was the pitcher with the blonde dreads that was about 122 pounds soaking wet.
Yep. He's the one that hit A-Rod when Veritek and A-Rod got in the fight. Yeah.
God, has that been that long?
Yeah. 04, yeah. I don't think he's hitting 752, but I think it was Christian Arroyo that's hitting 752 right now, but going away, so it doesn't matter. He's going to the stupid WBC now, so.
Lane's other question is about can the Mets sign Zach Britton? I'm a little surprised Zach Britton hasn't been signed.
Me too.
I mean, that guy's a stud. And the only thing I can think of is he just asking for too long of a contract? Because there's no way someone's not giving him an opportunity on a 1-year deal. I mean, when Trevor Rosenthal is getting a deal, there's no way that Zach Britton shouldn't be getting a deal. But is he sitting there thinking that he's a veteran. He's probably working out on his own. Is he sitting back there thinking to himself, and this may not be a bad strategy, I'm going to keep sitting out. And one of you teams who think you're contenders, your closer or your setup guy is going to go down, and he's going to go down for a long period of time, and then that's when my phone will ring.
That's taking a risk, but
it is. It's taking a huge risk, but he's 35, and he might be looking at this as his last time to really hit the market. He may not be willing to sign for a 1-year deal, but I will caution him. Remember that year Shane Green pulled something very similar to that, and he came in and he was terrible. He was absolutely terrible.
If you bet on yourself, you better not lose. That's the thing,
Right. Or, or you can, because he's already made enough money. I mean, he
right.
He may not be worried about, he might be sitting there going, look, I'll pitch, but if not, assuming that he hasn't gone like full
MC Hammer.
Yeah. Yes. I was trying to think of an example, but yes. As long as he hasn't gone that, or one of the many backup quarterbacks from the 70s that they always put on during the Super Bowl show.
Yeah.
Well, we found Joe Schmo under the bridge, and we're going to talk to him about that. Can't believe you're broke. Well, I wasn't making any money in 1973 either, so what the heck are we talking about?
It's is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. We got to take off. And hit the break as Tones is coming for hour number 2. What is your walk off for the day, sir?
Okay, originally I was going to go ahead and start promoting the Masters. We got 1 month to the Masters.
We got the TPC this week, baby.
And but Justin Turner, speedy recovery, buddy. That looked like it hurt. God bless you, buddy. I hope you do well.
Yeah, if you get any info, if you could pop it in the YouTube chat during the show, it'd be appreciated, because, man, that one looked bad. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got a lot of football, a lot of baseball, and March Madness is here. We'll be back in a flash. Tones is jumping on right here on Braves Country and Braves Country HD, wherever you stream. 99.1 FM, the key. Get it?
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neal, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, the key in Noonan, Georgia.
Armchair. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good afternoon, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Happy National Oreo Cookie Day and White Chocolate Cheesecake Day. That may be a perfect way for Calvin Ridley to celebrate, as the ex-Falcon wide receiver and current Jacksonville Jaguar has been fully reinstated to the National Football League. Ridley, who had been suspended indefinitely since March of 2022 for violating the NFL's gambling policy, is eligible to participate in all team activities effective immediately. And it looks like former Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Derek Carr is signing with the New Orleans Saints. Carr appeared to be confirming the news, tweeting Monday, "Who dat?" The Saints, who finished 7-10 last season, were among 3 teams, including the Jets and Panthers, who have pursued Carr for several weeks. Carr is 31 years old, visited New Orleans, and met with several team members of the organization over 2 days in early February. The new men's college basketball poll is out. Houston is #1, and the UCLA Bruins have jumped to #2. Kansas is 3rd, Alabama 4th, and Purdue rounds out the top 5. Virginia is 13th, Miami 14th, Tennessee #17, and A&M at #18. The Duke Blue Devils, after beating North Carolina over the weekend, have vaulted to #21, and the Kentucky Wildcats are 23rd, with the Missouri Tigers slipping into the top 25 for the first time in quite some time. The Atlanta Braves have their first day off all spring on a Monday afternoon, but there's still plenty of action around Major League Baseball. The early games starting at 1:05 Eastern. Tigers are at the Red Sox in Fort Myers. Astros at the Cardinals down in Sarasota. And St. Petersburg will host Marlins at Rays. One more early game in Sarasota, Florida. The Baltimore Orioles welcome in the Philadelphia Phillies. The mid-afternoon tilts out west. Cubs travel to the Seattle Mariners facility in Peoria, Arizona. Diamondbacks at the Royals in Surprise, Arizona. And Phoenix will see the Dodgers host the Padres, while the Guardians travel to the Angels in Tempe. Rockies are at home in Scottsdale, and they'll battle the Rangers. Got a couple of games for Monday Night Baseball. Pirates are at the Yankees in Tampa. That game starts at 6:35 Eastern, and the Rockies are at the Reds, 8:05 Eastern in Goodyear, Arizona. The association tonight has a few games of interest. Starting at 7:30 Eastern, Hawks at the Heat on NBA TV. While the second part of that doubleheader is Pelicans at the Kings at 10. Other games of interest, Celtics are at the Cavs on a back-to-back for Boston, 7 Eastern. And the Raptors are at the Nuggets at 9. Conference tournament week, continuing from last, has a heavy slate today. Games of note all around college basketball. In the Southland tournament, second round, McNeese is at Nichols. That game is 6 Eastern on the plus. At the same time, over on CBS Sports Network, UNC Wilmington at Hofstra, the CAA championship semifinal. At 7 Eastern, Chattanooga is at Furman on the plus. Northern Kentucky is also at Youngstown State. St. Thomas, Minnesota at Oral Roberts. While on ESPN in the West Coast Conference semifinal, BYU at top 20 St. Mary's. ESPN2 Horizon League semifinal, Cleveland State at Milwaukee, and the late tilts, 10 Eastern on the plus, Sacramento State at Weber State in the Big Sky Championship quarterfinal, while San Francisco, who's on a little bit of a run in the West Coast tournament, they'll battle top 10 Gonzaga at 11:30 on the Deuce. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for Braves Country right here on WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, simulcasting on youtube.com at Braves Country. Tuesday, March 7th, 6:05 Eastern, first pitch. Braves Country is bringing you Atlanta Braves, Boston Red Sox, pitch by pitch, inning by inning, from Northport, Florida at Cool Today Park. Red Sox versus Braves broadcast will begin 6 Eastern, first pitch delivered by 6:05. Catch all the action right here. Make sure to like and subscribe. Braves Country HD, youtube.com/@Braves Country for Atlanta Braves baseball all year long.
It's the best in sports and entertainment, and get locked in and locked down with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. with your host, me, Ryan O'Neill, each and every morning, right here with the best in sports and entertainment, all the way from professional sports to college sports to River Dragons hockey and everything in between, including some of the very best local and national guests. It's the Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, right here on 99.1 FM WQEE.
Whenever I bring home Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. Little Bites? That's right, sweetie. Can you just give Mommy a minute?
I love Little Bites.
I know you do, but we're doing a commercial right now, okay?
Got it.
As I was saying, whenever I bring home you-know-what, you-know-who gets pretty excited. And so do I. Little Bites muffins are made with real ingredients, no high-fructose corn syrup, and are baked moist and delicious.
I love Little Bites.
Here you go.
Yes.
Entenmann's Little Bites muffins. The perfect portion of happiness.
40 games at $50 a piece. That's like $2,000
per seat.
Per seat? How many seats did you buy?
One, and the one next to it.
That's $4,000.
Unless they get in the playoffs, because for some reason playoff tickets are more money than regular seats. They'll never make it. What am I talking about? They're a lousy team this year.
You spent $4,000 on a lousy team?
Well, let me explain something to you about basketball. You cannot get season tickets like this with a good team. You got to ride out the bad years, hoping for a good one.
That's what you said 17 years ago when I married you, and I'm still waiting for a good one.
Like Sideshow Bob is pitching for the Dodgers. Dustin May. They've got big expectations for him this year. He battled a lot of injuries here. And he himself coming off of Tommy John late last year. And they're hoping that he can be he's going to have to be more than just a guy that goes out there and gets some starts for him. For the Dodgers to be what the Dodgers hope to be, which is World Series contenders, Dustin May is going to have to be, and look, he's got the talent, but he's going to have to be, let's be honest, maybe not ace material, but he's got to be a solid deuce. Because Walker Buehler's hurt. Clayton Kershaw's always hurt. Other scores around the league as we kind of try to share this onto the screen as we go along here. Orioles, Phillies, Baltimore beat Philadelphia 10-7. Not that these scores are really all that important. Cardinals over the Astros 7-1 today. Rangers up on the Rockies 1-0. And Cubs 2-0 over the Mariners. That game is in the third. And there you have that. We've also got men's college basketball that's going to be in the forefront this entire week. And then you got the TPC, which I've always said that that's the fifth major. I think most people feel that way, especially people that live down here in the Southeast. TPC to me is just as big of a tournament, is as big of a deal to get the W as any of the four quote unquote majors. And I actually hold it in higher regard than the PGA Championship. And not to knock the PGA Championship. I've always gotten more into the TPC. So we will be covering that. And that all that action begins on Thursday. Looking forward to the TPC. It snuck up on me. I didn't realize, for some reason, I thought it was a week from Thursday when I was laying out my game plan for the shows on Saturday. And then I finally decided to look it up. I was like, yeah, they moved it back to March. And I could have swore it was the week of St. Patty's Day one year. I've only been out there a few times, but I could have swore that was the week that I went one time. And St. Patty's Day is next Friday, so for some reason that I had that in my head. But I think I do know that it went up against March Madness once. And March Madness, yes, technically has already started with the conference tournaments, but obviously when most people talk March Madness, we're talking about the field of 68. Well, that's going to be a big deal, obviously, and with the TPC getting out of the way this week, that's a lot better idea to put it before the tournament than to put it during the tournament. I don't remember what year it was, but there was a year that they coincided, and I just did not understand it. But TPC later on this week, we'll be covering that, and we're expecting good weather down here in North Florida, southeastern Georgia, and I would suspect it's going to be a very, very fun tournament, a live tournament. And of course, we're with the pandemic junk well in the background now. You don't have to worry about any of those restrictions. I got some friends that were sharing pictures on Facebook of of Sawgrass this weekend, and just a beautiful, beautiful tournament. But anyways, we've got that. We've got conference tournaments going on. I caught quite a bit of conference tournaments this weekend, and there were some great ones, but that Kennesaw State game was absolutely phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. The ending, just the entire game, I was locked into that. And I'm telling you, Kennesaw State is going to put a scare into somebody. Nobody wants to see them in their bracket. Nobody's going to want to see Kennesaw State in their bracket. Now, I don't know where they'll fit as far as what seeding. I haven't seen that projection. My guess is somewhere around a 13 seed. Maybe even a 12. It could be as low as a 14. I don't think they're 15, 16 line. At least they shouldn't be. They should be getting much more respect than that. But I've been following that team 2-3 months now. I've been following more and more smaller college basketball than I ever have and really enjoy it. And it's fun. And honestly, the jockey that we had on the show had a little something to do with it, but the main thing that had to do with it is that I don't have really anyone to pull for in college basketball. And I don't even have a villain to pull for in college basketball. Not this year. Usually, if the University of Florida is really good, I'm at least pulling against them. They're terrible. Florida State's terrible. I couldn't even jump on like a Georgia bandwagon because the Bulldogs and the Yellow Jackets are terrible. But Kennesaw State caught my eye. I was like, I'm going to start watching this. Because I laid a little on one of their games. I don't even remember when it was. It was late December, early January. And they covered, and I've been following them ever since. And they are a fun team to watch. Did you see this story? Ian Rappaport is in trouble with the NFL. Now they're not going to talk about it, but he's in trouble with the National Football League. And it's a minor trouble, but it's still interesting. Over the weekend, Ian Rappaport sent out a tweet, and I know I'm going to butcher this young man's name, but Richard Garage, I'm not 100% sure how he pronounces it, offensive tackle, University of Florida, was at the combine, and he was doing different workouts. I believe that was Saturday. I could be wrong on this. That might have been Friday. But anyways, point is, he was doing it, we'll just say Saturday. And the next day, he was supposed to do other workouts. And he woke up and he had swollen ankles and told them he wasn't going to be able to do it because he had injured himself. And Ian Rappaport sent out a tweet saying that the offensive lineman from Florida came into the combine healthy, but awoke Sunday morning from swollen ankles because of the pain tolerance test that he took the night before, the day before. Shortly after that, Ian Rappaport quote tweeted his own tweet and said, NFL spokesmen have told me there is no pain tolerance test in the National Football League combine. Now, I don't know what it really was, what it's really called, but that's essentially what the nickname must have been, because Ian Rappaport normally wouldn't send something out that's that off base, but he had to come back because remember, he works for the NFL. He works for NFL Network, and he had to come back and say, I know I said what I said, but pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And so he came back and untweeted it, so to speak, because he corrected himself. But some of the comments are classic. But the best comment that I saw was one of the fans out there quote tweeted his original tweet about the pain tolerance tests, about the offensive lineman not making it to the next day. And he said, I guess we got our answer about his tolerance for pain. We've got Tampa Tones joining us. So let's go ahead and bring him in real quick as busy weekend of all sports. Tampa Tones, how the hell is ya?
Doing great, brother. One of those days where the days go by and we're one day closer to Selection Sunday for March Madness. And real quick, just want to give a rest in peace to Dave Wills, Rays radio broadcaster, former Chicago guy, did pre and post game for the White Sox many years, Notre Dame games, USC games, was a Rays radio broadcaster since 05, passed away at the age of 58 last night. Just terrible to see.
Oh, I didn't even see that. That's awful.
Yeah, out of nowhere too. He was fine, and he announced the spring training game Saturday, and then yesterday they got the news that he passed away at 58, doing Rays games since 05, him and Andy Freed together in the radio booth. So it shook up the world of the Tampa Bay Rays. They didn't even do a radio broadcast yesterday or today because they're trying to figure out how to deal with such a loss.
Yeah, did they give a cause?
Not yet. They just said he died suddenly in his sleep. No cause or anything like that to this point in time, besides just a freak death as of right now in the middle of the night.
Well, that is terrible. I'm seeing a bunch of articles about him. I don't see anything that says what he may have passed away from. But anyways, that's a terrible story. I hate to hear that.
Yeah, armchair quarterbacks got Rays baseball back. Not as much as the Braves, but we mourn any broadcaster loss, and this one hits home. So prayers up to the Rays and their family and organization.
So what did you watch the most of this weekend?
In entirety, in terms of number of games, college basketball by far. But let me tell you, I watched 2 compact pay-per-views start to finish, Saturday UFC, Sunday wrestling, AEW. Those were nice, but college basketball took my heart home this weekend, I will say.
I watched a lot of college basketball. I did watch a little college baseball. And I checked out Atlanta's spring training game yesterday. But you can only tune into most of that stuff for so. Is Jason Hayward a Dodger?
Yep, he signed a minor league contract with them.
I thought that was him. He just hit one into center field, and his swing is like no other. And I was like, that's got to be Hayward.
Yeah, only one guy has a swing like him.
By the way, I know this is spring training, doesn't realistically matter, but the Dodgers have a no-hitter going into the 6th.
Ooh, the Cubs threw one on Friday night, a combined one.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, it better be a combined one. If any manager out there let his starter go 9 innings to complete a no-hitter in spring training, he better have a really long contract. That's all I know.
Very fair. Yeah, I didn't even, when I put it into terms, I didn't even think of it like that. But you're right. No one better have a complete game no-hitter in the spring.
Who are they playing?
That's a good question for that night. I am not sure exactly. I know on Thursday they played Oakland, and on Saturday they played the Angels. Friday, I am not sure. I will look.
I would just like to know if there were a bunch of guys released on Saturday. That's always what I'm asking that.
Yeah, he got released. Padres, it was the Padres.
Cubs, by the way, leads Seattle 2-1 right now in the 4th.
It was the first spring training no-hitter since 2017.
Well, we might get another one.
Isn't that crazy with sports? Something doesn't happen for, 5 to 10 years, and then I feel like they come in bunches a little bit.
Well, especially with the new rules, I don't even know what to make of that, other than it would just be a coincidence.
Right.
I didn't see who started for the Dodgers. Last inning or so, Dustin May's been pitching, and I've been watching him. I'm a big fan of his. And he's going back out there, but he's only got like 15 pitches into the game. So So this is probably only his second inning, is what I'm gathering. So I don't know who started, but they are playing their guys longer in, because we're in the 6th inning, and I noticed that Rojas is playing short. Rognan Odor's at the plate for the Padres.
Wow. Padres got Odor, Nelson Cruz. They're just signing. Yeah, they're signing all the veterans. Him and Nelson Cruz, amongst others. It's like, geesh.
Well, I think Odor, best case scenario, is a bench piece.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't hit his weight in quite some time.
Right.
Jason Hayward is an interesting signing by the Dodgers, because he's a guy that they probably have him in there for defense, if nothing else. And if they can get his swing straight, I mean, look, Hayward at this point is not going to go out there and hit 40 bombs.
Right.
But if you can have him as a decent piece off the bench, and he still has a good glove.
Mm-hmm.
That's a valuable thing to have, especially a veteran. I've always liked Hayward. I hated that first of all, I hated when the Braves traded him, but then when he signed that long deal with the Cubs and then never lived up to the billing, I hated that for him.
Hey, and I will say this, not that, like you said, obviously signed a long deal, never lived up to the billing. He'll be known as the guy around here who we overpaid. But at the same token, he'll be known as a good off-the-field guy and really good defensive glove who did contribute to the World Series team. Obviously, with all that being said, we did overpay the guy, but he did have his moments in Chicago, and he did help bring us the World Series for the first time in over 100 years. So a lot of Cubs fans will say this and that about him, and deservingly so based on how much he got paid. But at the same token, it's not like he never had his moments, and it's not like he didn't make an off-the-field impact.
I'm seeing that I appreciate Ryan telling us back at the studio. It looks like it was Matt Manning that threw the ball that hit. If you're just joining us, Justin Turner was hit in the face today in spring training. And I don't know if you saw this or not, Tones, but he was hit in the face, and he went down like a shot. Now, I think he's okay to a degree, but he obviously came out of the game. But it hit him flush in the face, and it was Matt Manning of the Tigers that hit him. It was one of those high and inside fastballs. And I mean, it went up and in and got him quick. And we showed the picture earlier of Turner with the blood trickling down his face. Hoping for the best for Turner. That's a tough way to start the spring.
Yeah, especially a new face in a new place there. And the Tigers have a lot of hopes for Matt Manning. You hope a young guy doesn't get a little scarred by hitting someone in the face as such. So hopefully Turner, Manning, and everyone involved is good to go moving forward. That's scary stuff right there in the world of baseball. That's what makes baseball scary. A lot of people say, it's not that big of contact physicality. Well, you're in the box.
Played, man. If you think baseball isn't contact, you never played.
Correct. When you're standing in that box, when you're running those bases, when you're out in the field, it's a little bit of a different story, especially coaching 6 or 7 years. You really see, as a player, you see it too, don't get me wrong, but when you're actually coaching and you see all the injuries, the banged up, the hit by pitches, you go through a lot in one summer.
Not to mention the fact the little things that people don't pay attention to when you're running the bases and you're sliding and banging on the ground and into the bases and whatnot. And those aren't looked upon as collisions, but that does take a toll on your body. It used to be much worse. The collisions at the plate, total knockout plays. I call them the Chase Utleys at second base. They've cleaned that up in.
Mm-hmm.
I miss them, but I understood why they did it. The play at the plate was the one that I think needed to be done. I think they went overboard when they took away the runner's ability to slide you out of the way on a double play.
I agree with that.
If you come out of the base line, then yes, I agree with that. But if you're doing a clean slide, and as long as you're not doing like a Ty Cobb version with spikes high and trying to injure somebody, I don't think that should have ever been taken out. But it was an overreaction because of Chase Utley's dirty play that he made, not when he was with Philly, but I think he was with the Dodgers at that point. The dirty play that he did against the Mets. I think it was the Mets second baseman, but it might have been their shortstop. But that was almost 10 years ago. Real quick update, moves, NFL tag. Here we go. Josh Jacobs tagged. Evan Ingram tagged. Frank Clark released by the Kansas City Chiefs. And then if you're just joining us earlier, Derek Carr, 4-year, $150 million deal. Tony Pollard was tagged by the Cowboys. Bud Dupree dropped by the Titans. And Eric Kendricks, linebacker for the Vikings, he was released along with some other moves that were made over the last few days. So I'm sure we'll keep seeing those trickle in. Today was the day by 4 p.m. Or maybe it's tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow at 4.
Yeah, 4 p.m. deadline for the tag. And then Monday, a week from today, essentially starts free agency. They say it's not until next Wednesday, but the early tampering or whatever they call it, free agency for all intents and purposes starts 6 p.m. Monday. You can officially sign your name on the dotted line a week from Wednesday at 4 or 6 p.m. So all that's going to be going on in the NFL. And while that's going on, you got the TPC, which we'll be talking later on this week. And then you're going to have March Madness rolling in. World Baseball Classic starts this week. A lot of stuff to get into, a little time to do it. Let's take a real quick break, Tones. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of the NFL and get into some March Madness. We'll be back in a flash here on Braves Country and Braves Country HD, wherever you stream. Tuesday, March 7th, 6:05 Eastern, first pitch. Braves Country is bringing you Atlanta Braves, Boston Red Sox, pitch by pitch, inning by inning, from Northport, Florida at Cool Today Park. Red Sox versus Braves broadcast will begin 6 Eastern, first pitch delivered by 6:05. Catch all the action right here. Make sure to like and subscribe. Braves Country HD, youtube.com/@Braves Country for Atlanta Braves baseball all year long.
Hockey season, and that means new merch over at ourdragonsmerch.com. Get the latest designs and some of our fun new souvenirs ahead of what's sure to be a great hockey season. Celebrate another season of River Dragons hockey by getting a new look to wear on game days, or surprise the big-time sports fan in your life with a new keepsake that will make them a River Dragons fan for life. Order online right now at ourdragonsmerch.com. That's the letter R, dragonsmerch.com. We'll see you at the rink.
Hey, sports fans, it's Rod Peterson here, host of The Rod Peterson Show, inviting you to join us daily for 2 hours of Atlanta's funnest sports talk right here on WQEE. I say fun because it is. You've never heard a show like it because we make the listeners a part of the show every day between noon and 2 p.m. Eastern. You'll hear plenty of the best sports talk, including the latest on the Falcons, the Braves, and more. And who knows, you might even hear you. That's The Rod Peterson Show, daily at noon, right here on WQEE 99.1 FM.
Are you listening?
Welcome back. Wheels have fallen off this no-hitter. Not really sure what has happened, but I have seen that looks like the bases are loaded. There's 2 away. I'm assuming someone got a base hit in this inning. Dodgers lead at 6-0 over the Padres. And Have you seen this controversy with the pitch clock and all the games that Max Scherzer was playing over the weekend?
Yeah, apparently they're going to crack down on those little Foleys as well, huh?
By the way, Matt Carpenter signed with the Padres too. I missed that.
That's wild. Another
Weird enough
veteran
seeing
of
Matt
there.
Carpenter with the porn stash. It's even weirder seeing him in a San Diego Padre uniform.
Correct.
They've got their average age of their bench is going to be like 62.
Yeah,
Odor. Sorry,
they're going to be known as ARP.
Cruz. I think. Never mind. I was trying to make out who that was on second base, but I can't make out his name. I don't think I was right. I thought it might have been Darryl Strawberry. They're hiring everybody off the trash heap.
Yeah, I think they actually traded for Mark Pryor, for the Dodgers pitching coach, to become their opening day starter.
Well, he's going to piggyback. They got a plan.
Oh yeah.
This past weekend, talking a little college basketball. Before we get into that real quick, the NFL Combine, anything jump out at you other than obviously everyone's drooling over the quarterback, Anthony Richardson from Florida?
Yeah, there was a USC offensive lineman who was highly regarded, and he was actually a top 100 potential pick, Andrew Voorhees, that is. Some had him as a late first rounder, early second rounder. Get this story. Voorhees tore his ACL in the combine on Sunday or on Saturday or Sunday, and then he proceeded to do the bench press and still pumped out 38 reps of 225 pounds with only one leg on the ground, and the other leg was kind of dangling there. So the combine, a lot of people, say it's past its prime. I get it's a little dry and boring for sure as well. But a lot of these kids still view it as such a big step for them to get in the NFL. For example, a guy with a torn ACL going out there and bench pressing the way he did. I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but kudos to the city of Indianapolis for putting on a good, useful tool for the draft. Maybe not an exciting tool for the draft, but I'll put it as this, a useful tool for the draft.
Well, it was a little goofy to me back when it used to be popular. People used to talk about it all the time, and I was always like, what? What are you're basically, you're talking about how guys perform in their panties indoors in February, March. What does that have to do with how they're going to play football? I did find this interesting though. By the way, what you're talking about there is pretty impressive because I used to lift years ago, and people don't realize it, but when you bench press, you are using your legs usually. I forget what we used to call it, but there was a term that we used when we would basically put our legs crossed in the air and do bench presses. I forget what it was called. There was a term, and that was kind of one of those things. You would do it to show off to other people who lifted. It did nothing for the women because they're like, what is he doing? They had no idea what you were doing. That it was actually much more difficult. But that is a pretty impressive thing. I saw that the defensive back, Jamie Robinson from Florida State, did the bench press. And he's not a very big guy. I think 24, 25 times was his rep. And that's pretty impressive these guys are just getting bigger and stronger. But he's not a big guy, but that just tells you. What I did stumble across here was they're calling it the all combine team and basically saying who impressed. And they picked CJ Stroud, which surprises me because so many people have been just, drooling over Anthony Richardson in his physical ability. Bijan Robinson, the running back out of Texas, was the running back they chose. Jahmyr Gibbs out of Alabama was the receiver. I find that interesting considering they have him ranked just above Jackson Smith-Jigba.
And that's very interesting. You know, I heard the receiver between free agency and the draft, receivers is one of those things. It sounds like it's a little scarce all the way around. You might get your mid to late round wide receivers, but it seems like outside a handful of receivers, this isn't one of those receiver heavy drafts. And I don't know if you've seen this as well. Quick little note here with Will Levis. He threw the fastest mile per hour in combine history as well. He threw faster than Mahomes and a handful of other guys. Will Levis now holds the combine record for fastest throw of a football. I forget the exact mile per hour, but man,
that gets you at the end of the day because you got to be able to put touch on the ball and read defenses. I'd be more impressed if you told me he did that at a baseball combine. You know, I don't know.
I agree with that.
Because honestly, I don't even to be honest with you, when I think of Patrick Mahomes, I don't think of him zipping it in there.
Yeah, and
of him having perfect touch and being able to read defenses and buys time with his legs and does Patrick Mahomes type things.
Yeah, and real quick here, I don't know if you've seen this story, not combine related, but NFL related. Phillip Rivers has expressed a potential comeback, according to Rich Eisen and some reports.
Please let him go to the Colts. That'd be perfect. Him and Cam Newton can fight it out in the spring. The tight end that they chose was Darnell Washington out of the University of Georgia.
And
let me see. Offensive tackle, Broderick Jones, Georgia Bulldogs. Cody Mock from North Dakota State. Guards. Sidney Sowell from Eastern Michigan and Jordan McFadden from Clemson. The center they picked was Ohio State's Luke Weipler. And I'm gonna try to hit up the defense because they did one for the defense as well. And let me see here.
Yeah, I heard from Northwestern. I'm going to butcher the name, but an edge D lineman Adetomiwa Adebawore had a heck of a combine. They said if it weren't for Anthony Richardson,
that one.
crazy. Yeah, but if Anthony Richardson, if it weren't for him, they said this
that
guy
dude's
would
getting the nicknames lickety split the moment he gets in the league. Brian Breesy from Clemson, interior lineman, along with Jalen Redmond from Oklahoma, and then Nolan Smith. So those were the interior linemen. Let me see here what we got here. I'm sorry, the technically edge rusher Nolan Smith, and then Will Anderson. That surprises me. Smith ranked over Anderson because everyone's talking about Anderson going in the top 3. Then your Northwestern guy, I'm going to call him Double A. He is in there. Linebacker. Oh man, Henry Tutu. Is that how you pronounce that?
I would guess so. That would be my assumption.
I think he might be from the islands. That's an awesome name. Who would want a jersey with Tutu on the back of it? Jack Campbell, Iowa, also made it. Jeremy Banks of the Tennessee Volunteers, and defensive back, all combine team, Gonzalez from Oregon. Let me see if there's a Banks from Maryland, Michigan's DJ Turner, Brian Branch from Alabama, and Sidney Brown from Illinois. And I think that's it. So a lot of usual suspects there, but I was a little surprised that they didn't go all bananas about Richardson because I listened to 3 different shows this morning on my way to work. That's all they were talking about.
Yeah, and this was one of those things where, like you said earlier, it is a little bit of a useful tool. Yeah, the combine is a glorified gym practice. Let's put it like that. It reminds you of what you did in gym class in high school and whatnot. And I mean, it was obvious to tell that people would be impressed by Anthony Richardson. Now, the important thing is when he's throwing in pads or when he has his pro day, how will those results match up to the combines? And if so, he has serious top 5 pick potential.
I don't know what Brandon is saying here. It says, did you hear the Astros versus today? Versus what?
I've seen that, and I wasn't quite sure myself.
Brian is claiming that the Canes are ACC champs. He can't be referring to football season. Bang, Zoom.
And did you hear?
I think they got stumped by Florida in baseball because I saw it yesterday. It was 7-1.
Wow. So they're getting used to that in multiple sports, I guess. But SEC Player of the Year and Freshman of the Year went out to Alabama's Brandon Miller, the one surrounded by some controversies right now.
That's going to be interesting when we hit the NCAA. I don't think he'll get much of it at the SEC tournament. He might, but when you get to the NCAA tournament, and that becomes a bigger and bigger story the deeper they go into the tournament. A, the press. B, how are the fans going to react to him?
And I can't believe, speaking of similar thing, what a goofball John Morant is, huh?
Dude, this guy, what is he doing?
Yeah,
and I went on a rant about this about, I don't know, 2.5, 3 weeks ago, when one of many things that he's been involved in. I mean, let's talk about the fact that him and his posse had a red light laser that they were that the Indiana Pacers coaching staff claimed to be a gun pointed at them after a game. He supposedly got in a fight and beat up a 17-year-old kid in a pickup game last summer. 17 years old. And then he pulled a gun out. I don't know if it was the same instance, but he pulled a gun out as well on a kid sometime last year. And all this stuff is starting to come out. And then he brandishes a gun in the middle of I guess it was a strip club. I don't know. It was a real wasn't a high dollar one. I don't know what he was doing in there, man. I mean, you got that NBA money. What are you doing, man? You can afford better strip clubs. But I mean, he looked like he got to one of those ones where there's, a free breakfast buffet at 4 a.m. So coupon clipping. But he's showing it, and what was really funny, a couple of the reactions to the gun that he showed. If people didn't see the video, it looks like a gun. I mean, it looks like what they used to call a Saturday night special that women would tuck into their stockings. I mean, it was a little bitty gun. He's over there waving it. I'm like, man, all you're going to do is shoot someone with that. You're going to make them mad. They're going to pistol whip you with the thing. But it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, you have the ability to become a billionaire, and you're going to throw it all away because you're hanging out with some dopey crew?
And he was one of those guys who had the whole NBA fan base. Not everybody, but a lot of people love this guy. He grew up in a good surrounding. He went to Murray State, a lot of respectful stuff. And now his behavior is getting to him. Usually you see it the other way around, right? They start off.
Well, the other thing is, so with all this is going on, his dad is enabling him. His dad got into it. I don't know if everyone saw it, but his dad got into it with Shannon Sharp on the court versus when they were playing the Lakers on the side. His dad's involved in this.
And people tried blaming Shannon.
Be a dad to your son who obviously needs some kind of direction, because he's still a kid. He's 22, 23 years old, whatever he is. I did a lot of dumb things too. Difference was I wasn't on social media. They didn't have it back then. And number two, no one would have cared what I was doing because I wasn't Ja Morant.
Mm-hmm.
But man, if I ever had that opportunity growing up to be in his position, I mean, dude, Get the big picture. Whatever these dopes are, I don't remember who was on the show, but we talked about this sometime. I want to say, I don't remember who it was. But anyways, I was referring to back when Allen Iverson was coming up with the Philadelphia 76ers about 20 years ago or so. And he was hanging out with these roughnecks, and the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers pulled his little posse off to the side and basically told him to beat it, because he told them in no uncertain terms, you might think you're a bad man, but I have the kind of money that makes people like you disappear. So if you don't get away from my investment, it's going to get uglier. Right.
Mm.
And they got the point and left. Someone's got to have this kind of come to Jesus meeting with Morant. It really needs to be his dad, but evidently his dad is a child as well.
Yeah, and it's really a shame to see a lot of the time with these NBA stars or with these, younger athletes, maybe in college perhaps as well. It's either their brother or a parent enabling them. And this seems to be the case of just that. We've seen it with the Balls before, with LeVar Ball, when, he was inciting a lot of random behavior. Now you're seeing it with Morant as well. And then you've seen it with Derrick Rose's brother back in the day. Sometimes people can't separate business from family, and it hurts him instead of helps him in the long run. Seems to maybe be the case with John Morant.
From what I can tell, his dad's a dope. I mean, he's not being a father to his son. And it's sad because Morant was one of my favorite players, but I'm slowly getting to the point where I don't want to pull for him because he's coming off as a slime ball.
Mm-hmm.
But he plays for Memphis, so I want to pull for him, and he's an exciting player. I'm going to get it from the benefit of the doubt one more time, but he's on that track where he's going to pull something, and it's going to ruin his career. And it's all because he's worried about his stupid street cred, which is the dumbest thing anybody could ever worry about, especially when you are a bona fide superstar in the NBA who can make $1 billion over his career.
And like we said, he's literally a trendsetter right now in the league. He's a young guy, maybe the youngest, brightest guy with the most potential in the NBA. He's on his way to becoming a billionaire, but usually you get better as time goes on with your behavior. He's getting worse.
The only time someone is ever legitimately worrying about their street cred, and you could almost defend it, is these rappers who are living vicariously through fictitious lives and rapping to you about a bunch of BS that we all know is BS. And they do something because they want to prove that what they're saying is true, right?
Mm-hmm.
If 5% of what they were saying was true, they would be behind bars. So if you're dopey enough to believe that stuff, then it is what it is. And at one point, I was young enough to dopey enough to believe that stuff. I was 17, 18, listening to NWA and whatnot, right? But you finally grow up and realize that. But the point is, Morant is still a young kid. I'm not even laying this. I'm laying it on his dad. Man, his dad is with him at every game. He's a part of his entourage. So he is enabling this. And he's worse than what. Remember, we used to go bananas over what the Ball kid's dad would always.
LeVar Ball.
Yeah, Lamar. I want to call him Lamar. And I was like, wait a minute. It's Alonzo. It's anyways. We used to go crazy over that, but he was never promoting any of this kind of nonsense. He was just, he was a showman. He was basically Don King or the WWE. It was all hype.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just nonsense.
It's getting out of control, and even you've seen the Sun
out of control. And the NBA needs to grow a pair and do something about it. The NBA has done nothing. He's stepping away for 2 games. You see that little thing that he put out? I'm stepping away for 2 games. 2 games? What is that?
And he said, like, he can't help his emotions without playing with one. Then it's like, well, what else this guy might have done? You know what I'm saying? If he can't help his emotions and needs a gun to handle them, what else could he have done?
I mean, take some boxing lessons and maybe you won't have to pull out that pea shooter.
Yeah.
But if I'm an NBA player and I'm hearing this and I'm seeing this, I'm antagonizing him the next time he comes out.
Correct.
I'm doing anything I can to get under his skin.
And I've seen he's going to Carmelo Anthony for advice, so.
Oh, that's great.
We'll see how that goes.
Great!
You
I
know,
can't think of a better person.
it's like, realistically, I know it sounds cliche, and, you know, he had gambling issues, whatever, but go to Michael Jordan and ask him, what the hell should I be doing?
Michael Jordan's not going to waste his time with him at this point.
True.
Michael Jordan doesn't waste his time with a lot of people.
You're right on that.
Michael Jordan lives Michael Jordan's life, but Michael Jordan has never been one that really helps people.
Right.
He's going to have to find someone who's a mentor in his life. There's got to be someone, and it's not his dad, and that's the saddest part of the entire thing. But someone in the Memphis organization needs to be there. And the first thing they need to do is at the end, and when the game is over, let's go get something to eat. We're not going to go hang out in the club till 4 a.m.
Right.
What was it? 5 something in the morning that he was brandishing that gun on Instagram Live
in Denver after a loss, I believe.
I mean, that part I'm not concerned with. The point is, he's out really late. Now, maybe that was 5 something.
I'm concerned because what the hell? What did you miss a team flight that you're out in Denver after? Usually you get out of there and your team travels right after the game. What are you doing still in Denver? Why aren't you with your team? Where the heck is your team?
Sometimes they don't travel till the next day because it really depends on what the road trip is doing. But if he's in Denver, that may not have been local time that they showed. That may have been, I don't know if Denver is 3 or 2 back at this point in the calendar, but still we're talking about 2:30, 3:30 in the morning, Eastern or local time.
Denver would be 3 hours back this time of year from Eastern time.
So 2:30 in the morning. I can tell you from experience, nothing good happens there in a strip club at 2:30 in the morning. No, I say nothing happens good. I mean, there isn't a thing. And I can tell you this much. Those times that I was there, I wasn't sitting right next to Pops.
Yeah, for real.
You kidding me? Oh.
He was probably hand in hand with his dad, and you know what?
I'd been embarrassed for him to know that I was out doing things like that during the season when I'm supposed to be staying in shape. Yeah. What's your lock for the day?
My lock for the day, we're heading to the ice. I need a big one, and I need to catch some heat again. I'm going with the LA Kings tonight. They're home against the Washington Capitals. They're minus 141 on the straight up line. So get the LA Kings to win in regulation or overtime, minus 141 home against the Washington Capitals. That's a light puck drop, not until 10:30 Eastern time tonight.
Okay. Not as prepared as I normally am. Oh, it's up to 3.5. You know what? Give me Northern Kentucky. They are getting 3.5 against Youngstown State. That line was 2.5 this morning, 3 this afternoon. I like the fact that it's moving in the direction of Northern Kentucky. Northern Kentucky is a solid team. It's a clash. It's the semifinal in the Horizon League. I think the winner of this ends up winning it. Northern Kentucky getting 3.5 points. Give me the points. And Northern Kentucky. That's on ESPNU at 7:00 Eastern.
And they're getting 3.5 or giving.
I've officially done it, by the way. I've given YouTube TV my walking papers at the end of the month, so I'm up for all suggestions on where I should go. I think right now I'm leaning Fubo, but I got to have something that's going to have MLB.TV, or sorry, MLB Network.
Why don't they have MLB Network?
Who does?
I'm saying, why don't they have MLB Network?
Who? YouTube?
Yeah, why wouldn't they have it?
They got rid of it like a month ago. They got some big argument with them. Didn't want to. Had something to do with the fact that MLB Network wasn't going to carry as many or any ball games this year, which really doesn't matter. That's not why you want an MLB Network. You want it for the other content. And I gave it weeks, and I let it go through the Super Bowl, and then I started spring training. And though I get most of the games anyways because of my other ways of watching, I was like, I'm done. So I'm putting it on pause, and I'll be back by football season when because YouTube TV is getting the NFL ticket,
right?
So I'll be back for that, but I'm not sitting there all summer with it. I kept thinking they're gonna work it out. They're gonna work it out. I'm done, man. Adios, muchacho.
And you hate that with these streaming services. I feel like that's becoming more popular, and it's stupid. It's really dumb.
What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
Again, one last time, brother. I don't mean to mention it again, but rest in peace to the late, great Dave Wills, Rays radio announcer. 58 years young, died suddenly. Everyone give your loved ones a hug because you never know when it's your time. And Rays baseball won't be the same without you, Dave Wills. Rest in peace to the Chicago Kid.
My walk-off is stay tuned for the Snowman. He's coming up here at 5 p.m. I'll be on his show tomorrow night. Be on there routinely on Tuesday nights. And get your morning started right with Rhino Radio Penitentiary, 7 to 10, noon to 2, Rod Peterson Show. And 2 to 3, Sports Beat. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, 3 to 5, we go live. And then at 6:05 Eastern tomorrow night, Braves Country, bringing your Braves Red Sox, baby. We're back after our first day off in all spring long. So I'm looking forward to it.
Let's ride.
All right, brother. We'll see you next time, and we'll be back tomorrow. 3 to 5 tomorrow is it's Joey Day. We got that in our Braves report that we're doing every Tuesday and Friday at the beginning of the show. We'll see you.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to Braves Country with Mac McGee and the Armchair Quarterbacks on 99.1 FM WQEE, The Key in Noonan, Georgia, and simulcasting on youtube.com/@Braves Country. Braves Country comes your way weekdays, 3 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Please follow, like, and subscribe today. Armchair Quarterback Radio, your first choice for Southern sports.
Something of the 5th of September. Something of the 5th of September. She said a lot that I can't remember. Something of the 5th. Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know I live to regret it. Just give me another cigarette, please.
You're listening to WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key in Noonan, Georgia.
Are you looking for a reliable...
Tuesday, March 7th, 6:05 Eastern, first pitch. Braves Country is bringing you Atlanta Braves, Boston Red Sox, pitch by pitch, inning by inning, from Northport, Florida at Cool Today Park. Red Sox versus Braves broadcast will begin 6 Eastern. First pitch delivered by 6:05. Catch all the action right here. Make sure to like and subscribe. Braves Country HD, youtube.com/@Braves Country for Atlanta Braves baseball all year long.